Enigma of the Timeless Pyramid. Heading north beneath the blistering sun and across the endless, golden sands of the Giza Plateau, one enters a place where secrets are not concealed but boldly revealed. The terrain itself seems to announce its mystery, almost defiantly challenging the modern era to decipher what remains unsolved. Emerging from the barren earth with astonishing accuracy, the Great Pyramid of Giza has stood firm for over 4,500 years. According to traditional belief, it was erected as a burial monument for Pharaoh Khufu. Once, it stretched to an incredible height of 146 meters, its sides nearly flawless in their alignment with the four cardinal directions, and its base leveled to within mere centimeters. Assembled from more than 2 million blocks of limestone and granite, some as heavy as 80 tons, it is the only one of the seven wonders of the ancient world still intact. Yet, its most profound mystery may not be its visible grandeur, but the unseen truths it guards. The pressing and seemingly straightforward question of how it was constructed remains unanswered. Standard archaeological theories speak of inclined ramps, basic mechanical tools, and vast human labor, tens of thousands toiling for over 20 years. But the scale and precision of the project remain mind-boggling. The intricate inner structure includes slanted corridors, sealed passageways, and chambers paneled with polished granite sourced from quarries located hundreds of kilometers away. Adding to the riddle is the striking absence of any clear architectural design, inscriptions within the pyramid itself, or any written documentation from its time of creation. The monument communicates through its form, and yet remains silent. Then there's the modern Scan Pyramids initiative, employing muon imaging to explore the inner structure. In 2017, it revealed a large, previously unknown cavity, more than 30 meters long, above the Grand Gallery. Its purpose and origin remain a mystery. Is it another tomb? An intentional void? A sealed chamber untouched by time? As expected, speculations extend widely. Some suggest the pyramid conceals mathematical codes, constants like pi, the golden ratio, or even the speed of light. Others believe it might have functioned as more than a tomb, perhaps an ancient power plant, an astronomical instrument, or a vault of forgotten wisdom. While mainstream academics remain measured in their conclusions, even they concede that the Great Pyramid holds riddles yet to be deciphered. Why such meticulous construction? Why invest such monumental effort for a tomb? Why does it continue to awaken something deep within each generation that encounters it? Living Stones of Sacsayhuamán. While the Great Pyramid dominates the desert with its geometric clarity halfway across the globe, high in the Andes Mountains, another mystery is carved, this one not skyward, but into the heart of the earth. Above the ancient city of Cusco, Peru, where the atmosphere is thin and the mountain peaks reach into a glass-like sky, stands the prehistoric fortress of Sacsayhuamán. Its terraced walls ripple across the hillside like lines from an ancient script. Towering stone barriers interlock so precisely that not even a blade of grass can squeeze between them. The enigma here is not merely what survives, but how it came to be. These stones are colossal, some exceeding 100 tons, and carved into intricate shapes with numerous angles and multifaceted surfaces. They appear not beaten into place but formed with care and precision. No binding agent holds them together, yet they've survived powerful earthquakes that have razed contemporary buildings nearby. The architecture flows with the terrain, curving and conforming like a structure designed to move in harmony with the land itself. Mainstream historians attribute the site to the Incas, masters of refined stonework. Yet, even among Incan creations, Sacsayhuamán feels unique, grander in form, and older in spirit. Some researchers argue the Incas merely expanded upon a foundation left by a forgotten people, one whose name vanished, but whose stones remain as testament. How were these gigantic blocks shaped and lifted? What instruments were employed to carve such intricate fits? And how were they transported across steep, rugged ground, without wheels or working animals. Contemporary experiments using hand tools and physical labor can replicate a fraction of the techniques, but key questions linger. No blueprints have surfaced, no texts exist to explain the methods. Only the structures remain, stoic, timeless, untouched. Alternative ideas abound, claims that the stones were softened by chemical means, sculpted like wet clay, or shaped by sonic frequencies. That this is more than engineering, it is purpose-driven geometry. A forgotten language expressed in volume and angle, intended to communicate something profound. Sacsayhuamán is not merely a defensive wall, it is a declaration. It asks not only how it was made, but why. Was it for military defense, ceremonial gatherings, celestial observations, or something entirely unfamiliar to us? Could it be aligned with forces we no longer perceive? Tuned to a way of thinking we no longer understand? Despite modern technology, we still cannot recreate its graceful complexity. Perhaps the real mystery of Sacsayhuamán lies not in what has disappeared, but in what remains, stones shaped with humility yet confidence, silent yet resolute, a message not written but sensed. Monument of Göbekli Tepe. While the fabled ruins of Atlantis continue to evade discovery, hidden beneath layers of myth and ocean, a different ancient riddle rises not from the sea but from dry land. Perched atop a breezy elevation in southeastern Turkey, near the modern city of Sanliurfa, lies a desolate terrain that expands endlessly. Sparse golden grasses ripple under a muted sky. At first glance, the scene appears barren, quiet, overlooked by time. Yet hidden beneath this humble earth is Göbekli Tepe, the world's oldest known ceremonial complex. Still, Göbekli Tepe withholds its secrets. No inscriptions guide us. No tombs provide context. No definitive conclusions emerge. Most experts propose that it was a ceremonial gathering spot, frequented seasonally by dispersed communities. Yet alternative ideas drift further afield. Some theorists perceive encrypted messages in the artwork, while others argue for the existence of lost ancient technologies or forgotten wisdom from a primeval civilization. Indus Valley Civilization. While Göbekli Tepe stirs bold questions about the origin of organized belief, another mystery to the east whispers an equally profound riddle. How can we grasp a culture if we cannot comprehend its written language? In the dried-out river plains of what once flourished as the Indus Valley, remnants of an advanced yet forgotten civilization lie beneath the soil. Among the weathered brick ruins of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, now situated in present-day Pakistan and northwestern India, archaeologists have unearthed the echoes of a society that prospered over 4,000 years ago before fading into obscurity. Tiny engravings found on soapstone seals, ceramic shards, and ancient implements show repeated patterns of minute symbols, often only a few per item. These marks are meticulous, intentional, and consistent. They portray animals, geometric signs, humanoid figures, and shapes unlike any recognized script. Some resemble logos or brand marks. Others hint at pictographic language. However, no bilingual artifact has surfaced, no Indus equivalent of the Rosetta Stone. One obstacle to interpretation is the extreme brevity of inscriptions. Most examples contain just 4 to 5 symbols, too few to analyze with traditional linguistic tools. Furthermore, the script appears static over time. It doesn't evolve as other known scripts do. With no cultural successors who retain the language, the Indus script remains a linguistic orphan, disconnected from the known genealogies of writing. Speculative theories attempt to fill the void. Some posit that the writing transmitted sacred or mystical knowledge meant only for select initiates. Others think it was a mnemonic aid for an oral language now extinct. A few radical ideas even propose that the script embodies an entirely different communicative model, or that its symbols were never meant to be spoken, but felt or intuited. Today, Fragments of their story lie scattered in museums, etched in ancient stones, silent relics echoing from a distant age. What were they recording? Trade inventories, sacred invocations, epic histories, or something beyond our current imagination? Until their language is unlocked, the spirit of the Indus Valley remains sealed, a murmur from antiquity we still cannot translate. And like Göbekli Tepe, the Indus script challenges us not just to look back, but to listen more deeply to the past that has yet to speak. Ancient echoes. This city, referenced in Greek chronicles and Hebrew scriptures alike, was portrayed as a land of boundless prosperity, where silver poured so freely that it was deemed valueless. Herodotus chronicled it. Strabo noted it. Even the Old Testament may have called it Tarshish, a remote seaport from which ships returned laden with riches from distant lands. But what exactly was Tartessos? And why did it vanish by the dawn of the first millennium BCE? Unlike Rome or Egypt, Tartessos left no towering temples or intact stone metropolises. What remains are shards, elaborate gold ornaments unearthed from burial sites, river-smoothed rocks with odd engravings, and faint architectural traces now submerged beneath transforming lands. Some theorize the Tartessians were a regional people who prospered briefly before being overtaken by conflict or catastrophe. Others envision dramatic ends, catastrophic floods, massive tidal waves, or the breakdown of crucial trade networks, leaving their civilization to wither in obscurity. And still, some draw parallels to older legends, pondering if Tartessos inspired the myth of Atlantis, a thriving coastal society that abruptly disappeared into the ocean's depths. Was Plato's tale a distant echo of Tartessos, blurred by the passage of time and distance? Despite extensive research, Tartessos remains tantalizingly out of reach, equal parts truth and legend. Who were these people, trading metals with the ancient world? What language did they speak? What stories did they pass down? And why, after centuries of prominence, did they disappear so thoroughly? What survives is minimal, a few etched words, fragments of masterfully crafted gold, and the murmuring wetlands, where the tides continue their rhythm, possibly over ancient forgotten roads. Tartessos is not just a question of geography, but of purpose, of people. And as Tartessos fades into Spain's misty marshlands, we journey to another land of ancient mysteries. Hidden Labyrinth of Ancient Egypt, southwest of Cairo, beyond the celebrated Giza Plateau and past less frequented pyramids, lies a forgotten stretch near the village of Hawara. To the untrained eye, it's unimpressive, low rubble mounds strewn across dry earth. But ancient accounts tell of a marvel that once stood here, immense, unmatched anywhere in Egypt or the ancient world. They called it the Labyrinth. First described by Herodotus in the 5th century BCE, the Greek historian claimed to have witnessed it firsthand. He wrote of a structure surpassing even the pyramids, 12 expansive courts, thousands of connected chambers, and 2 vast levels, one above, one below. Deep in the lower passages, he said, lay the tombs of kings and sacred crocodiles, sealed and hidden. Yet, not a single visible remnant endures. Or so it seems. In the late 1800s, famed Egyptologist Flinders Petrie explored the Hawara region. He found traces of a massive platform, nearly 300 meters long, which he believed supported the labyrinth. Fragments of columns, ornate carvings, and smooth floors surfaced, but the labyrinth itself had vanished. Dismantled long ago. Its stones reused. Its corridors collapsed. Its tale hushed. In 2008, Belgian and Egyptian researchers used ground-penetrating radar to scan the area. What they uncovered reignited debate. Beneath the surface, complex geometric shapes, rectangles, walls, possible rooms, emerged under layers of sand. Could this be the fabled labyrinth? Or another buried monument yet to speak? Speculation abounds. Some believe it housed a sacred archive, preserving ancient dynastic wisdom. Others claim it stored records of rulers who predated even the earliest pharaohs. Fringe ideas link it to Atlantis, secret brotherhoods, or forgotten technological knowledge passed down from primeval times. Still, amid the tales, coordinates, and satellite readings, one certainty remains. No modern dig has fully revealed what lies beneath Hawara. What was the labyrinth's true function? Why was it erased from memory? What secrets might still sleep under this quiet expanse of stone and dust? The labyrinth remains, not just hidden underground, but veiled in meaning. A puzzle chiseled into antiquity, then swept away, waiting perhaps for the right eyes to see it anew. Enigma of Abydos. Stonehenge stands tall, harmonized with the celestial rhythms of sun and season. But deep in Upper Egypt's arid lands lies a different puzzle, buried and cloaked in secrecy. Hidden from view, embedded directly into the earth, as if designed to be concealed forever, rests an underground structure tucked behind the majestic temple of Seti I in Abydos. Partially submerged and often bypassed by visitors and scholars, this site is known as the Osirian, a cryptic monument whose age and architectural mystery continue to perplex both archaeologists and Egyptologists. No hieroglyphs offer explanations. No inscriptions declare a purpose. The Osirian communicates only through its mass, its silence, and its overwhelming sense of permanence. Some researchers have theorized that this structure might represent a symbolic tomb for Osiris, the Egyptian deity of the afterlife, resurrection, and the unseen realms. However, the granite used in its construction came from Aswan, over 100 miles away, an incredible feat for any ancient builders. Adding further mystery, the site lies below the water table and was likely submerged even in antiquity. Was this flooding part of its spiritual function? Was water meant to mirror, envelop, or conceal something more metaphysical? Alternative perspectives question whether the Osirian predates Seti altogether. Its megalithic features bear resemblance to architectural styles from pre-dynastic sites across the globe. Could it have been repurposed by later Egyptian builders, inherited from a forgotten civilization whose existence has long been erased from memory? Then there's the faint geometric figure known as the Flower of Life, etched into one of the granite columns. Although likely inscribed during a much later period, it has stirred contemporary interest. Enthusiasts of sacred geometry interpret it as a symbol of hidden mathematical wisdom, an imprint of cosmic principles left within the stone. Despite the multitude of theories, the Osirian remains stubbornly silent. Why was such an immense structure placed in an unreachable, flood-prone location? Why are there no inscriptions, especially in a culture obsessed with documenting every facet of religious and royal construction? And what, ultimately, was its role? Was it a temple not intended for the living, but for gods or mythic spirits? Or perhaps it's an archaeological breadcrumb leading us toward a far older narrative, one that's barely begun to unfold. Its stones refuse to explain. They simply stand, unmoved and unbroken. And through their heavy quiet, they pose the same timeless question. How much of our true past lies forgotten? And how much remains waiting just beneath the sands? From the deep past, through sculpted rock and ocean shadows, emerges another unsolved mystery, one shaped in bedrock and revealed only by chance. Off Japan's southern coastline, near the isolated island of Yonaguni, divers in the 1980s stumbled upon something that would baffle researchers for decades. Beneath nearly 25 meters of ocean, an immense structure rested on the seafloor, layered, angular, and geometric. It was named the Yonaguni Monument, and it has remained ever since in the twilight realm between geological formation and lost civilization. Could this formation truly be a quirk of natural forces? But other voices challenge this view. If true, this would point to a civilization older than Mesopotamia, older than ancient Egypt, potentially rewriting our understanding of humanity's early progress. Yet no definitive proof has emerged. No tools, no pottery, no human skeletons. Just carved stone, curious geometry, and a story untold. Are we merely seeing faces in the rock, a case of pareidolia, where the human mind imposes meaning onto random forms? Or are these sunken remains the echo of a lost people swallowed by the sea? The speculation grows deeper. Some connect the site to worldwide flood legends, myths of submerged lands and drowned worlds. Others even link Yonaguni to hypothetical ancient continents like Mu or Lemuria, said to have once thrived in the Pacific before vanishing without a trace. Such ideas walk the edge of imagination and science, compelling precisely because they defy clear dismissal. Was it ever touched by human hands? Or is this nature itself whispering a forgotten story we've yet to understand? As we turn away from those underwater stones, that final question lingers behind, unanswered, timeless, and waiting. Enigmatic gearwork from the depths. In the stillness of the earth, a fresh enigma emerged from beneath the ocean's surface, an unsolved puzzle not etched in stone, but built from metal and intricate cogs. In the sunlit waters near the Greek Isle of Antikythera, divers in the year 1901 recovered an artifact that would permanently shift our perception of ancient engineering. What they retrieved was a rusted, fragmented contraption now referred to as the Antikythera mechanism, a device of such intricate construction that it remained largely beyond comprehension for many years. At first sight, this item appeared unimpressive, just a mass of bronze wheels decayed into what looked like a random chunk of metallic debris. But when examined more attentively, a hidden level of complexity started to surface. The gears, precisely shaped and masterfully engineered, were arranged in a manner that hinted at an advanced grasp of both mechanical design and celestial science. Some of the gear teeth were so minute and delicate that only today's precision tools could recreate their accuracy. This mechanism is among the oldest documented instances of a gear-driven machine, a technological innovation that wouldn't reappear in Europe until the medieval period, over 1,000 years later. Yet, even though some aspects of its function are better understood today, countless mysteries still persist. How were the ancient Greeks capable of creating such an instrument? The complexity of the Antikythera mechanism implies mechanical and astronomical expertise that appears oddly advanced for its time. Yet the most confounding question may concern its origin. The mechanism is extraordinarily advanced, yet nothing similar has ever been discovered from the same period. Was the Antikythera mechanism the creation of an isolated, highly developed society? Or does it represent the remnants of wisdom handed down from an older, forgotten civilization? Some theorists even entertain the idea of influence from a culture much older than classical Greece, one whose achievements were obliterated by catastrophe, war, or the passage of time. How could a civilization possess such futuristic knowledge, only for it to vanish without a trace, resurfacing in modern times merely by accident? And what does the existence of the Antikythera mechanism reveal about what ancient societies were truly capable of achieving? We are left to ponder. Was this remarkable device an outlier, or a window into a bygone era of scientific brilliance, now buried under layers of forgotten history, waiting to be unearthed again? The Antikythera mechanism still provokes more questions than answers. And as we peer into its delicate mechanical heart, we find ourselves drawn into a deeper mystery that remains unresolved. Let's now shift our focus eastward, toward an object that, while appearing plain on the surface, holds mysteries so profound that it has stirred debate about ancient knowledge for more than 100 years. In the center of Iraq, not far from the city of Baghdad, a peculiar artifact was uncovered in 1938 by archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig. What he discovered was a ceramic container, similar to countless other pots found during historical excavations. But nestled within this unassuming vessel was a small copper tube, an iron rod, and a cork. Together, These simple components formed a device that quickly became known as the Baghdad Battery. Initially, the item seemed like nothing more than another antique curiosity. But as Koenig and subsequent scholars examined it more closely, a surprising possibility emerged. This ancient pot may have functioned as a very early form of galvanic cell, a primitive battery. The setup was basic yet potentially effective. When filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, the metal elements would undergo a chemical reaction, producing a faint electric charge. This would generate a mild current, sufficient for basic electrical functions. If this interpretation is accurate, the implications are astonishing. The Baghdad battery would precede the recognized invention of the electric battery by over 2 millennia, an extraordinary example of technological advancement not seen again until Alessandro Volta introduced the modern battery in the 18th century. But many questions soon arose. What was the purpose of this ancient power source? No historical records describe its intended function. Some experts propose it may have been used for electroplating, a technique where thin layers of metal are bonded to objects. Others suggest it had ritualistic or ceremonial applications, possibly producing a mild shock to simulate divine forces or induce trance-like states. Even bolder theories propose that the Baghdad battery powered unknown devices or may have been utilized in early medical treatments, such as wound cauterization. Some speculate that this technology was part of a broader system of knowledge that has since vanished from the historical record. Yet if this jar truly functioned as a battery, why didn't such technology become widespread in the ancient world? Why did it vanish into obscurity for centuries? This artifact raises as many doubts as it answers. Was it simply an isolated experiment, an accidental discovery of electric principles? Or is it a surviving clue to a forgotten period of advanced innovation, now lost to history through war, erosion, or neglect? The Baghdad battery, with all its simplicity, continues to confound historians and scientists alike. This modest clay vessel has sparked intense debate about the true extent of technological capabilities in ancient times. It urges us to question what other groundbreaking knowledge might still lie undiscovered or was perhaps erased from memory long ago. Like so many other ancient puzzles, its true story remains just beyond our grasp. Enigma of Stone Circle. While the stones of Baalbek lie partially concealed beneath the earth, their secrets buried by time, our attention shifts northward to a windswept plain where another ring of stones stands tall, not hidden, but upright, enduring. These ancient sentinels rise from the fog across the rolling meadows of Salisbury Plain in southern England. Here, beneath open sky and surrounded by greenery, stands the age-old structure known as Stonehenge, casting a profound shadow across both the landscape and the timeline of human civilization. The view is both barren and peaceful, a quiet contradiction. Massive sarsen stones, aged by millennia of exposure, stand in purposeful alignment. Some are topped with horizontal lintels, balancing with improbable grace. Encircling these are smaller bluestones, believed to have been transported from over 150 miles away, forming the monument's inner rings. Stonehenge's mystery lies not just in what is visible, but in all that remains unknown. Constructed in several phases over more than 1,000 years, beginning around 3000 BCE, Stonehenge predates written history in the British Isles. No documentation exists to reveal its builders or their motivations. Yet the precision of its architecture reveals a sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and spatial planning that continues to astonish modern scholars. The alignment of the stones is remarkably accurate. On the summer solstice, the sunrise aligns exactly with the heel stone, casting rays that pierce through the center of the monument. Similar alignments correspond with the winter solstice and other celestial phenomena. Was it a calendar? A sacred observatory? A spiritual site commemorating life, death, and the passage of seasons? Excavations suggest that Stonehenge was part of a vast ritualistic landscape, interconnected with other sacred sites through paths, ditches, and wooden structures. Durrington Walls, located nearby, displays evidence of communal feasting and gatherings, suggesting ceremonies or pilgrimages. Human remains found at the monument hint that it may have served as a burial ground, though not exclusively. But how this masterpiece was built is as baffling as its meaning. How were enormous stones, some weighing several tons, moved over long distances, especially without the use of wheels or animals? Were they dragged, floated on rafts, or rolled on logs? And how were they lifted into place, some towering more than 20 feet tall? Traditional theories cite skilled engineering and coordinated manpower. Yet, the immense labor involved, across generations, implies that the purpose was far deeper than functionality. It carried symbolic weight. This uncertainty has bred numerous theories. Some believe Stonehenge was a place of healing, its stones imbued with magical energies. Others argue it was a bridge between sky and earth, an ancient observatory, or even a celestial calculator. More speculative ideas suggest connections to long-lost civilizations, alien visitors, or forgotten natural energies encoded in the stones. Despite these mysteries, one truth is undeniable. The creators of Stonehenge were not primitive. They were purposeful, imaginative, and profoundly skilled. Their creation still endures, resisting the passage of centuries, standing firm against wind and uncertainty. Why did they erect it? What did they witness in the sky as they stood surrounded by the towering stones of their own design? Stonehenge offers no definitive responses, only the haunting reassurance that we are not the first to ask such questions. Rock-cut wonder of Ellora. After exploring the submerged puzzles of the Yonaguni Monument beneath ocean tides, we now ascend into the western Indian highlands, where stone tells a tale not of collapse or erosion, but of creative subtraction. Unlike typical constructions built stone upon stone, this marvel was not assembled, but released from within the rock itself. In the town of Verrall, carved directly into the basalt cliffs of the Sahyadri Hills, stands the breathtaking Kailasa Temple, a structure that redefines architectural genius. This temple does not perch atop the mountain. It was excavated from it. Hewn downward from a single monolithic rock face, over 200,000 tons of stone were extracted with astonishing care to reveal a grand temple complex, complete with soaring columns, sacred shrines, open courtyards, stairways, and intricately detailed carvings. Everything was sculpted from the original rock, alive and immovable. Dedicated to Lord Shiva, the Kailasa Temple forms part of the wider Ellora Caves complex, which contains over 30 religious structures, Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain, all carved into the same vertical stone wall. Yet, Kailasa stands apart for its monumental scale and intricate complexity. Mainstream scholarship attributes its construction to King Krishna I of the Rashtrakuta dynasty during the 8th century, as suggested by inscriptions. But this dating has raised eyebrows. Some estimates argue that such a vast excavation and detailed craftsmanship would have taken centuries, even with hundreds of artisans working continuously. However, legends claim it was completed in merely 18 years. Could that be true? How did ancient builders map and execute such a precise vertical excavation from top to bottom without modern tools, drafts, or machines? A single error in measurement or angle could have ruined the entire monument. And yet, they succeeded with remarkable perfection. The temple's walls burst with life. Sculptures of divine beings and mythological tales unfold with fluid grace. Elephants carved in stone seem to carry the temple's foundation. Columns rise evenly in harmonious symmetry. Chambers are balanced, resonating with acoustic clarity. Every inch of the temple is a continuous masterpiece, formed not by joining blocks, but as a single seamless entity. There are no breaks, no assembly lines, just solid rock, shaped by human hands, and perhaps something greater. Some researchers wonder whether the ancient craftsmen had knowledge of forgotten technologies, perhaps sonic tools or unknown techniques for softening stone. Others speculate that the temple was built upon foundations even older than we recognize today. No blueprints have survived. No manuals, no records. Only the creation remains, silent, majestic, and immune to the passage of time. What inspired this feat? Was it a monument to devotion? A symbol of divine ambition? Or a form of ancient art far more advanced than we currently understand? Echoes from a sunken empire. Beneath the ceaseless tides of the Atlantic Ocean, hovering between folklore and forgotten history, lies a phantom of a civilization erased by time. The tale begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BCE, in his writings Timaeus and Critias, he shares a narrative handed down through the ages, a story of a grand island civilization that existed beyond the Pillars of Heracles, known today as the Strait of Gibraltar. Plato described Atlantis as a place of extraordinary strength, cutting-edge design, and deep moral values. It was imagined as a harmonious realm, sculpted in circular zones of land and water, where sunlit golden sculptures gleamed and towering temples reached for the skies. Yet, in a single tragic day and night, it was consumed by the ocean's depths. Was this simply metaphor, a symbolic warning against arrogance, excess, and societal collapse, or might it be a blurry recollection of an actual event buried deep in humanity's unwritten past? Scholars and researchers have debated the matter for centuries. Some assert that Plato fabricated the story entirely to communicate his philosophical ideals. Others propose that he may have been inspired by more ancient Egyptian documents, possibly brought to Greece by Solon, a legislator and adventurer who visited the sacred halls of Sais generations earlier. According to the temple priests, Atlantis was already a distant memory by Solon's era, having been destroyed over 9,000 years before his time. If this claim holds weight, the existence of Atlantis would predate all recorded civilizations, even the construction of the pyramids, the rise of Sumer, and the dawn of documented history. Over the ages, explorers and intellectuals have scoured the planet in search of traces from this mythical land. Some focus on the volcanic island of Santorini, once inhabited by the Minoans. Around 1600 BCE, a colossal volcanic explosion devastated the island, an event uncannily similar to Plato's tale. Might this be the real Atlantis, hidden beneath centuries of storytelling? Others turn their gaze elsewhere, the shores of Spain and Morocco, the drowned plateaus near the Azores, or the underwater landscapes of the Caribbean. Modern satellite technology has exposed puzzling formations beneath the waves, sparking renewed theories. Are these formations the result of nature's design or crumbling remnants of ancient ports and cities eroded by the ocean's age-old rhythms? And then come the more speculative ideas, those often brushed aside yet never conclusively disproven. Some theorists suggest that Atlantis may have been part of a prehistoric global society, unified by shared knowledge lost in a forgotten catastrophe. They point to mysterious maps, such as the Piri-Reis chart, as evidence of advanced geographical understanding. They also highlight global flood myths that echo across many cultures, potentially indicating a universal memory of a catastrophic event. Despite centuries of inquiry, no indisputable artifacts, inscriptions, or ruins have surfaced. And yet, the allure remains. Why does the story of Atlantis continue to inspire us? Perhaps because it feels tantalizingly close, as though it's a dream lingering just beyond our conscious grasp, a lost world that almost was. And so, the same timeless question that puzzled Plato's followers more than 2 millennia ago still lingers in our minds. Was Atlantis ever real, or does its absence speak louder than any evidence ever could? Vanishing civilization in jungle's heart. Some enigmas aren't carved into cliffs or painted on cave walls. They're hidden beneath layers of living forest. For there are corners of the earth where time does more than move forward, it devours. One such place is the Amazon, vast, teeming, humid, and almost beyond imagination. It spans South America like a sea of green. Underneath its colossal canopy, sunlight scarcely reaches the ground. Rivers coil and disappear into thick foliage. The air buzzes with decay, life, and perpetual struggle. Amid this living labyrinth lies a legend, one of the Amazon's most enduring mysteries. The tale of a hidden metropolis known only as Z. To British explorer Percy Fawcett, this was no myth. It was destiny. In the early 1900s, Fawcett journeyed into the jungle, convinced that ruins of a once great city lay concealed within. He believed this ancient civilization had thrived away from the eyes of modernity. He named it simply Z, relying on age-old texts, indigenous testimonies, and peculiar objects he stumbled upon. Fawcett envisioned Z as a city to rival those of antiquity. Its people, he theorized, might have mastered astronomy, mathematics, and possibly even more profound sciences. Then, in 1925, Fawcett vanished deep within the Amazon. Alongside his son and a small group, he disappeared without a trace. Their fate remains one of exploration's greatest riddles. Yet perhaps more haunting than his disappearance is the question he left behind. Was he mistaken? Or simply ahead of his time? For decades, Fawcett's beliefs were dismissed, written off as colonial fantasy or overreach. Mainstream scholars contended that the Amazon, with its nutrient-poor soil and harsh conditions, could never sustain a complex civilization. But as science progressed, new technologies began challenging that view. Using satellite images and LiDAR scanning, researchers have uncovered vast networks of geometric earthworks, straight-line pathways, and layouts resembling cities, all buried under thick jungle. Hidden ridges and engineered ditches hint at meticulous planning. Evidence of farming systems, roadways, and ceremonial spaces suggests a society far more intricate than once assumed. Could this be Z? Or are there dozens, even hundreds, of Zs scattered across an overlooked Amazonian empire? Much of it remains untouched. The rainforest quickly consumes what is left behind, and many sites remain unreachable. The few that have been partially excavated reveal a culture finely attuned to its surroundings, yet mysteriously gone long before Europeans arrived. Did they hold insights we have yet to relearn? Oral traditions from native communities speak of sacred sites, carved from stone and soil, that served spiritual or communal purposes. And what about Fawcett? Did he uncover something profound and choose never to return? Or did the jungle, like the legend itself, close around him? The legend of Z lingers because it touches something elemental within us. It whispers from the untouched corners of the world, a reminder that not all ancient societies leave behind towering monuments. Some vanish, leaving behind only questions, waiting to be found. As ancient stone structures stand in stoic silence, we head eastward to a place where the very landscape appears sculpted with otherworldly precision. In the Bekaa Valley of present-day Lebanon, nestled beneath mountain silhouettes and olive fields, lie the immense remnants of Baalbek. At a cursory look, Baalbek resembles a classic Roman wonder. Towering Corinthian pillars, the remains of what was once the grand temple of Jupiter, rise skyward. Yet beneath these Roman ruins rests something significantly older and infinitely more perplexing. Enormous stone slabs create the foundation on which the Roman structure was erected. These are far from ordinary stones. 3 of them, famously referred to as the Trilithon, weigh nearly 800 tons each. Nearby, partially hidden under earth, is the even more massive Stone of the Pregnant Woman, estimated to weigh over 1,000 tons. More recently, yet another enormous block was uncovered still lodged in its quarry, heavier than any previously known. Carved, shaped, and moved with astonishing accuracy and scale, These stones provoke questions far beyond simple construction. How were such megaliths quarried and relocated? Mainstream archaeology proposes the use of ramps, rollers, and vast manpower. The Romans undoubtedly possessed remarkable architectural prowess, yet many scholars assert that these stones far predate Roman influence, potentially by hundreds or even thousands of years. The exact timeline remains elusive. There are no inscriptions linking the megaliths to any known civilization, nor ancient documents describing their assembly. Thus, speculation abounds. One theory argues the stones were transported from the quarry using sleds on wet sand pulled by large teams. Still, this hypothesis falters under the crushing weight and uneven terrain. Even if they reached the site, how were they positioned with such meticulous accuracy? The stones are so precisely aligned that even a razor blade cannot pass between them. Their faces are flat, their corners precise, as though crafted not by crude implements, but by advanced, intentional methods. This has led to alternate interpretations. Some believe these megaliths are remnants of an ancient, forgotten civilization whose expertise in stonework exceeded our typical understanding of ancient capabilities. Others theorize Baalbek was a sacred site, built to harness unseen natural energies. There are even theories suggesting connections to biblical tales, proposing that Baalbek was the legendary city of Cain, or even constructed by giants. Still, no conclusive explanation has surfaced. Why undertake such Herculean effort to place stones that would later be hidden beneath another structure? What goal warranted such commitment? Was it sheer ambition in architecture, or something more profound? The megaliths of Baalbek challenge not only our technical assumptions, but our grasp of historical purpose. They compel us to ponder not only how past cultures constructed, but why. And as twilight bathes the broken columns and long silent stones, one must wonder, what wisdom once echoed through this place, now buried under layers of mystery and time? Longyou Caves. From sun-drenched courtyards chiseled from basalt, we descend beneath the surface, into darkness, into quiet, into a mystery uncovered not by scientists, but by chance. In the peaceful village of Xianbeikan in Zhejiang Province, China, a surprising discovery came in 1992. Villagers draining what they thought were simple ponds stumbled upon something astonishing. Immense hand-hewn caverns submerged below the water. As more were revealed, a startling truth unfolded. These were no natural caves. They were the Longyou Caves, an underground network unlike anything else known in China or beyond. So far, 24 chambers have been unearthed, each one vast, with ceilings reaching up to 30 meters high. Their walls, ceilings, and columns are carved with a remarkable consistency, decorated with diagonal chisel marks etched in perfect unison. And yet, no historical record acknowledges them. No ancient manuscript, no folktale, no reference explains their origin. In a country famed for its extensive and careful historical accounts, the utter absence of any mention of the Longyou Caves is as baffling as the structures themselves. Why were they made? Who were the creators? And how, with the tools presumed available in antiquity, were such immense halls carved so flawlessly? Estimates suggest over 1 million cubic meters of rock were excavated by hand. No evidence of removed debris has ever surfaced. There are no spoil heaps, no related infrastructure. Even today, orchestrating such a feat would be overwhelming. Mainstream hypotheses suggest the caves might have been ancient storage areas, emergency shelters, or burial sites, though no human remains, artifacts, or engravings have ever been located inside. Others speculate ceremonial uses, or perhaps remnants of a long-lost engineering pursuit. Still, the questions persist. Why the identical carving style? Why devote such effort if not for a significant reason? And how could such massive chambers remain hidden, completely unknown to the very villagers living above them for thousands of years? Some more unconventional thinkers propose the caves are older than believed, the work of a civilization now forgotten, one whose existence left no written history, or whose records were deliberately erased. Some compare the caves to other megalithic wonders across the globe, pondering whether there might have been a prehistoric era of shared global knowledge, where craftsmanship in stone communicated a silent language beyond time. There is no concrete proof for this, but also no definitive evidence denies it. The Longyou caves remain among the most puzzling human-made structures ever found, not for what they hold, but for what they lack. No artifacts, no inscriptions, no legacy, only painstakingly carved stone, flawless geometry, and resounding silence. And so the enigma endures. Were these monumental voids shaped by ritual, by necessity, or by a vision we can no longer grasp? Whatever the origin, one truth stands firm. Beneath the soil of a humble Chinese village lies a story we have yet to truly uncover. As the darkness envelops the hidden halls once more, we are left to wonder, what purpose stirred the hands that carved them, and what secrets remain sealed in shadow?